Okay, so here we are with my problem statement for the project this semester, and I'm choosing to focus on the statement called the statement of cash flow, which is one of the four financial statements that we discuss in the introductory to accounting class, and it's a particular challenge for students to really get a good handle on it. So I thought it would be helpful for me to reflect on how I'm approaching this class and really kind of think more critically about the processes that I go through to try to communicate the information about the statement of cash flows.
So, Tom, thank you. You just reminded me, and I wanted to share with you this particular perspective on the role of design and how we understand design in all kinds of ways in our culture, no matter the domain of practice, whether you're designing cars or policy or an image or sermon. You're thinking about design as a means to achieve a goal, and particularly when that goal is as potent as the learning that can take place in a college course that we invest a great deal of time in, both from a teacher's perspective, an instructor's perspective, as well as the student's perspective. It seems to me that the purposefulness of the design process is critical, and I think you really sum that up in your talk here.
So anyway, the idea here is that I think it's important for students to be able to analyze, interpret, and synthesize this financial statement. And for all business students, whether they're accounting majors or management majors, and without this analysis and understanding, they won't be able to really identify the cash activity of the company, and that's important for making obviously informed decisions about the company. So for this week, I have taken this first goal, and I got a lot out of the readings, in particular, thinking about how this goal is more broad-based than the learning objectives. And at first that was a little confusing to me, but I think I'm getting a handle on it now. And as I see it, one of the goals will be for students to gain an appreciation just merely what the purpose, even the physical layout of the statement, and the calculations of the statement itself. And so that would be the first goal, and the learning objectives around that would be first, and I like that acronym with the SMART. That was a good little video for me, kind of helping think about the learning objectives and being specific, and in particular here, kind of saying that the students, they should be able to describe the purpose. Can they articulate? Can they describe that? And what I did was line up what I thought were the Bloom's taxonomy pyramid, and thinking that this would fall into the understand category. Then moving on, after they can describe the purpose of the statement, students will be able to identify the various sections, and this gets to the physical layout, and describe their purpose. So as I think about the various sections and being able to identify those, I think of it again as under Bloom's, under remember, and beginning to describe them would be more on the understand plane of the pyramid. Then moving on from there, students will be able to articulate the similarities and differences of this statement, the statement of cash flow, with other financial statements. And the other financial statements we have is the balance sheet, income statement, and statement of retained earnings. And so I thought of this too as tying in with Bloom and thinking it's more on the analytical part of the pyramid. And then lastly, students will be able to reconcile the cash activities, including the beginning and ending cash balances. And here we're getting into the application, again with Bloom, of the statement itself. So that's how I'm lining up my first goal and the learning objectives. And then moving ahead, I'm thinking the second goal that I'm going to work on is students will learn how to actually analyze and interpret the statement, right? So we're kind of raising the bar with Bloom's taxonomy, and then I'll identify learning objectives for those over the next week. And then following up with students will be able to compare multiple companies. So we can compare Coke and Pepsi and Walmart and and target, etc. And so, a student, if they can accomplish those three goals through those learning objectives, I think they'll be well on their way of, this introductory level of kind of mastering the topics. So that's how I see it. And then kind of tying in with a question that was posed to us, and how do we leverage the relationship building techniques and activities similar to those in the MOOC to get a needs analysis, and identify knowledge gaps, right, which is part of the analysis phase of the adding model. With these students, they're primarily first-year students, and so they have virtually no exposure to accounting prior to coming into this class. So I don't think that will be a significant, there'll be a real need for getting a needs analysis of those students, because after teaching this for many years, these students are coming at it typically for the first time. And we also teach this subject matter, right? There's a few levels to it in some of the upper level accounting courses where it gets into more depth than in this course. And I was thinking about that because at that point, when we touch on this subject again in upper level courses, there would be an opportunity to assess the needs of those students. And I can see doing that through, some pre-testing and just kind of get a sense of where they're at. All right, so so this is my general post for the week, and it was kind of cool doing it in this way this time around versus the written form. So hopefully this gives you a little idea of my problem statement, the goals, learning objectives, and where I'm headed. So hey, we'll catch up.